Welcome to Chris Cook for You Too. Today I'm going to be doing shrimp stew. In an earlier video I showed you how to make shrimp stock that's going to be used for the shrimp stew. Now that we're in this portion of it, let me show you the ingredients that you're going to need to make this delicious stew. We're going to need cubed potatoes, and I'm in the process of cubing up the potatoes now. You're just going to cube them up like this, maybe a little bit smaller. I'll cut that one in half, but I'm not through. I've just started on cubing these potatoes. You're also going to need some carrots, thinly sliced carrots, and I want you to see how thin these are sliced down. Okay, and all I did was just slice the carrot down, and then I just cut it in half. So you're going to need that. You're going to need some chopped onions, parsley, salt to taste. You're going to need an onion, which I've already shown you, the one that's chopped up, and you're going to need a red pepper. Okay, and I'm in the process of chopping up the red pepper for the stew right now. Now, I'm gonna alter this just a little bit because I'm going to make this particular stew, shrimp stew, a little bit different, but the one that's listed in the cookbook will be just straight shrimp stew. Now, if you decide that you want to be versatile in how you make it as well, you can do what I'm going to do, because here I've already chopped up some chicken. This is cooked chicken, and I've chopped it up kind of fine. Okay, I'm going to add that to the stew, and I had some lobsters, some baby lobsters that were in my refrigerator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to the stew as well. So I'll show you how to just cut up one of these lobster tails. And then I want to show you a little bit about the shrimp. And then I'll meet you at the stove. Now, also I'm going to be making a roux. And I do have a roux that's listed online. That roux is with the gumbo. So if you want to see how to make it, you can, but I'll show you again. It's just equal parts of flour and vegetable oil. The best oil to use when you're making a roux is going to be canola oil, but it's okay to use vegetable oil as well. Now, here I have my shrimp, and I've already cut these shrimp up, and I showed you that because that's what I made the stock from. But I'm going to cut my shrimp down the center just to give me a little bit more, or give, you know, the illusion that there's a little bit more shrimp that's actually added to this dish. And I just wanted to show you that. All I did was cut it down the back. Okay, cut it straight up. So if you were going to butterfly it, that's the way you would do it. If you do see some that's not deveined, and that's what it was look like, just take that off. That's all you have to do. Okay, so I'm going to go away and wash these, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. And it's just that you butterfly it, but you just cut it all the way through. Now, with the baby lobster tails that I had that were left over, I had lobster a while back, and I had these that were left over. What I'm going to do with this is I'll take off that little vein that runs down the back of it, and then I'll just slice it up. And I'm going to add this to the stew as well. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go away, get my shrimp all washed, get my meats all washed, get everything prepared, and I'll meet you at the stove when I get ready to make the roux. The stove, and here I've started my oil to heat. This is the cooking oil that you saw that I'm going to make the roux with. And while that oil is heating up, I'm going to go ahead, and I've also started to add my potatoes to my shrimp stock. So I'm just going to continue to add them, because it takes about 20 minutes to cook the roux, make the roux, and it takes about 20 minutes for the potatoes to get soft enough for me to use. Now I'm also going to go ahead and put in those carrots that I showed you. Okay, and I'm going to put in the parsley. Okay, so you have that in a pot. Okay, just want to stir it a little bit, and I'm going to allow that to cook while I make the roux on the other side. Now, the only thing I didn't do is I didn't put the salt in, and I'll put that in at the last minute. Now, I'm going to test this, and as you can see, that oil is not heated enough, so I'm going to wait a few minutes and I'll bring you back by the time that gets heated enough, and I'll show you how to put together this roux. Now, the oil is heated enough for me to add it, but I forgot to add my chicken pieces to the stew, so I wanted to come back and just bring you in and get it all while I add that. Now over here I'm going to go ahead and start to make this roux. Okay, now a roux is a very simple thing to make. The only thing is you got to keep stirring. Okay, you cannot let this flour just sit and the oil sit. You have to keep stirring it. Okay, now I'm going to stir this roux until it turns a brown that's a little bit darker than a peanut butter brown. And this is just equal parts of flour and cooking oil. And you know that I'm using vegetable oil. So I'm going to sit here and stir this. And a whisk is the best thing to use. If you got a spoon, you can use a spoon. But a whisk is the better thing to use. I'm going to sit here and stir this until it turns about peanut butter color. And when it turns about peanut butter color, I'll bring you back. Now, the one thing about a roux is you don't want it to burn. If it burns, you will be starting all over, because a burnt roux will mess up any dish that you're trying to put it in. Now, the reason why I'm using a roux for this is because this is going to be the thickening agent for the stew. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on stirring it. I turned my heat down just a little bit until this turns the color that I need it. Then I'll bring it back. Right now you see it's like a light beige, and as I continue to whisk this, it's going to get darker and darker, so I'll bring you back. Alright, I just wanted to bring you back. I'm almost to the finish of making the roux, and I wanted you to see how it has changed in color. Now it's just a little bit brighter than peanut butter. So I'm going to keep on going. A lot of times when you make, especially with your gumbo, the darker the roux, without burning it, the better the gumbo will actually turn out. Well, with this is going to be pretty much the same process, okay? I'm just going to take it a little bit darker. And if you have a cast iron skillet, which I didn't mention to you before, that's the best thing to use when you're making your roux, because it holds the heat well. So I'm going to continue to mix this for maybe about another 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'll get back, and you can see that it's still darkening up. Now, one thing I do want to tell you is that I turned my pot down on low because I didn't want my potatoes to cook. I want them to wait on the roux and let all of this kind of cook together. So the potatoes are on low, and they take about the same amount of time as the roux, but I want everything to finish up together, so I've just left it on low. Now, as you can see, just while I was talking to you, this did get darker. See, it got a little bit darker, and this is pretty much where we want to be. Okay, it's about the color of a little bit darker than your peanut butter. So what I can do now is I'm going to lower my heat just a little bit, and that's how you want your roux. This roux is not burnt. This is the color of it. I'm going to go ahead and add, whoa, spilled a little bit on my stove, but that's okay. Go ahead and add my onions, and I'm going to go ahead and add my red peppers, and I'm going to stir this. Let me get that up off my stove. Okay, now I'm going to stir this just a little bit, and then I went ahead and cut the heat off up underneath this. I'm going to add this to my pot with my stew in it, or the makings for my stew. Then I'm going to allow that to just cook for about 20 minutes. Look at it. See that pretty color to it? That's the color that you want it. Now this is very hot mixture. And you have to make roux when you really feel like doing it. And you have the time to do it. If you're putting together that special dish, because this is a part of the process that you don't want to rush through. Okay, now I'm just still stirring this. Even though this is ready, I'm stirring it just to kind of cook or saute up the vegetables that you saw me put in, which was the onion and the red bell pepper. Okay, now in about another minute, like I said, I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to my pot that's over here on the other side, and I'm going to put it back up on medium. That's my pot with my my shrimp stock in it. I'm going to add this, and that's going to start it to thicken. Okay, so now the shrimp stock is very watery. It's thin. So when I add this flour and oil mixture to it, that's when it's going to start to thicken up. And then I'll bring you back and I'll show you what that looks like as it thickens up. Okay, now we're 5 minutes from this being done. Okay, and you can see that this is thickened. Okay, because of the roux. But this is not as thick as I want this to be. I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. And the potatoes have already, they're almost done. So now I'm going to add my shrimp. And you know, shrimp only takes 5-6 minutes to cook, so. I'm going to add the shrimp a little bit more. And go with the last of it. Oops. Look at that. Okay. And now I'm going to add my pieces of lobster that I've cut up. And I want this sauce to be thicker. I have my potatoes in there, my peppers and stuff. So I've mixed together some cornstarch. And it's like about 2 heaping teaspoons of cornstarch. And I'm just going to pour half of it in here so I can get just a little bit thicker, richer, and creamier soup. Or stew. Okay, so I'm going to allow this to cook for about 5 minutes. And I'll bring you back, show you what it looks like. Now I'm back and I've cut the stew off already. And the reason why I did that is because I had to make a pot of rice before I could come back and just show this to you. But I want you to see how it turned out. Now remember, I did put some cornstarch in it in the end. And the reason why I did that is because it was not as thick as I wanted it to be, because I was serving it with rice. So I want to just show you this. See how it coats? That's real thick. So I'm going to dish some up. I've already put the rice in the bowl, so I'm going to put some down. You can see the pieces of chicken, and I just put a little bit of the liquids down in the bowl first, and then I'll dig deep and get the shrimp, potatoes, and the lobster. Okay. That's my dog, so you have to kind of look over him. But I'm showing you. Okay. And there's quite a bit of shrimp over in this pot, even though I'm not pulling them up. If I had used a straining type spoon, I could pull it up. There you go. Add one more spoonful. Okay. There it is. Chris is making shrimp stew. I walked you through the shrimp, you know, how to make the stew, and I walked you through how to make the shrimp stock. Remember, my book comes out November the 16th. I am extremely excited about it. I will do a video to just let you know, how to go about ordering and everything. But I do want to tell you I love you and thank you for watching. Chris Cook for you too. Bye.